we're very excited that you could all come. And so again, I think with those introductions, you could see we're represented from all over the country and have very specific things in our complicated U.S. healthcare system. So again, and I think for those folks who are non-San Antonio natives, that's really why I wanted to do the restaurants, because that's one of the highlights of the city. There's a lot of things to do, and I'd like you to take advantage, if you can, over the short time you're here. So really quick, I just wanted to, we are known as Army-Baylor. The truth is, we're a lot more than just Army-Baylor. We have Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, DA civilians, and the VHA. But the catch is, to add that into a title would just be way too long. And we've been that way for a good while. And so just wanted to let you know, we represent all the services and the VA in our system. We also are administrators, nurses, physicians, dentists, allied health. So allied health are like lab officers, optometrists, physical therapists. And so we're unique in that aspect too, that we've got a lot of our colleagues who are clinicians in the program. It's a 2-year program, 1 didactic year and a residency. All right, I got 90 minutes. So I just wanted to give you a quick overview of the program, kind of speak to our unique environment, just to give you a good feel of how Army-Baylor has changed. And for those who are not very familiar, just to give you an overview of the program. So this was one of our first classes. So as you could tell, we've been around for quite a while. So the Army-Baylor program started right after the Second World War. And that was also in the U.S. healthcare system. What was happening is after the Second World War, we were building a lot of hospitals. So the Army and the other services realized that we needed administrators to run all these new hospitals, and they were a complicated operation. And so we've been around for quite a bit. We're actually the 11th graduate health program in the country. And with that, we've gone through a lot of evolution. So we've changed curriculum, residency sites. We've kept up with the needs of healthcare and the needs of education. So we've been developing over time. That's important. So someone like me who went through 10 years ago, Army-Baylor has changed even quite a bit, and so we're moving quite a bit. In 2005, we added the MBA. In 2010, we added a competency-based education, and really you're a vital component of that, and we'll talk about it a little bit later with the competency-based education. But competency-based education really just means, in addition to your taking your stats class and getting a grade and taking your human resources class and getting a grade, we reach out to all the stakeholders, you all, and say, hey, what's the value to make a good health administrator function well? And so we've got those competencies to make it. That's what develops our BEAR, and that ensures or helps ensure that we've got a program that guides our students to be successful leaders in healthcare. We've also added an executive clinical leadership track. As you could tell, we've got a lot of physicians. So if we have senior clinicians that have 10 years or more experience, what we've been able to do is that second year residency, we've crammed that into their didactic year, right? And so they get some administrative residency, and that way we can give those clinicians back to the force after a year. And we have over 2,600 alumni, and now that's growing at a rate of about 55, 60 a year because the demand for an Army-Baylor graduate continues to grow. So our present, we've seen a lot of growth in education. A lot of them are online or executive course. We still do a traditional residency program, our in-class resident program, and we've actually do it and an old classroom model that looks like an older classroom. So that's one of the things that hasn't evolved all that much. So we're in a classroom at the AMED Center and School at Fort Sam. And so this is what we do at Army-Baylor. We educate leaders to serve as the next generation of federal healthcare executives. And our vision, theme, and values support that mission. Really what I wanted to highlight there was the component of leadership in our program, and I think that's what differentiates us from any other programs. So the students that we take are already junior officers in the military service, or leaders in the VHA, or leaders in the DA, the Department of the Army. And so they've got extensive leadership training and been in leadership roles, and then they're going to move on to leadership roles and be healthcare executives. And so what we do is we understand that as one of our strengths, and we want to leverage that strength. So we, as opposed to maybe graduating to be an analyst, our students are really on a track to be executives and leaders. I kind of spoke to this. We've got really two tracks, an MHA track, which I'm a graduate of, and we have an MHA MBA track, which a lot of my colleagues in the room did, and that's the dual degree. The difference is just really the MBA, we just cram even more stuff up there, as that makes kind of sense. And then, you know, I spoke to this a little bit earlier. We have the Executive Clinical Leadership track, which we can do in both options, both either ECL, MHA only, or an MHA MBA. And so this is more for my military colleagues, where we put stuff on a line. We call it a glide path, and we talk about, this is basically a timeline in military speak. So when we say the one didactic year, that actually represents 5 semesters. So my colleagues who went to school were at UAB. UAB has a similar program where they can do an MHA and an MBA. But it's a 2.5-year program if you count this summer. We slam it into one didactic year, so it's really, really intensive. With the competency development, just sort of a highlight. We do bring them in. This is like a Bloom's taxonomy educational thing that we use. The curriculum is developed so we teach the knowledge-based courses first, and then kind of progress to capstone type courses where they wind up synchronizing a lot of the information that they've got. With the highlight being for them tomorrow, where they're going to take an oral examination, a comprehensive oral examination, to give us good feedback to make sure that they're ready to start their residency. I wanted to highlight some of the things that the students did this year, and this is quite different from even what I did 10 years ago. So again, 5 academic semesters. We're involved in case competitions, and so fairly recent phenomenon. In the last 10 years, I think a lot of the executive and master's programs are doing case competitions where they get real-world cases from leaders in the field, and then they have a competition where they get to meet their colleagues and their peers and come up with a plan. And these are usually programs that have 50+ schools, top programs that compete in these. This last year, I didn't have actually NASI on here, but we actually competed in 6 case competitions. And before they get to those case competitions, we have an internal competition to ensure that they're ready to go. So again, I think we've implemented a program so they'll be successful in addressing today's challenges that we have in the U.S. healthcare system. We do take some field trips. We don't call them field trips, but for me, in my language, it makes sense that we just call them field trips. We do go down to Baylor University and tailgate, try to give them a little bit of that college experience. in addition to the 5-semester experience in 1 calendar year. We do ACHE landscape, and that's really our opportunity to expose our students to professional organizations, and also to start them to get that professional education once they complete their degree, to make those connections so they can continue with their education and their knowledge beyond, once they do graduate from the program. We go to a hospital, a Baldrige Award winner, so they can see what, at least identified by the Joint Commission, what right looks like and what a good quality organization looks like. And lastly, we take 2 trips. So we take a one-week trip with Baylor University to Washington, D.C. And do a health policy tour. And then we also do and that's for a limited number of students. And then the last one is we do take an international trip so they can see U.S. healthcare in a developed economy and in a developing economy. So this last year we went to Vietnam, and then we went to Singapore. And then the student-led. The students do a lot of volunteer events, which is quite amazing, again, because I don't know where they do find the time. But these are driven professionals, driven leaders. So they were doing Habitat for Humanity. They were serving meals and doing course at one of the residence communities here in town. They do a holiday party, and then they also do things like the Baton Memorial March, and we've got 2 teams this year going to the Army 10-miler. So you could see these. I don't think they put a lot of effort in our focus in sleeping. And then the administrative residency. So when they finish the didactic phase, they do the administrative residency, which is 9 hours. And that's where we hand off the students to you and your colleagues. And I will tell you, this is where I think we are colleagues, because we do the textbook academic piece. And you guys are the critical component to make sure that they're ready to be executives and function in our healthcare system. And that's where the real world happens, and where they get mentored by top-level executives and really understand the healthcare system. And that's the reason we do it. I think it's easy for a lot of programs to get away from that, but it is a critical and vital component of the development of healthcare administrators. And then I think when we went around the room, you could just see there's a lot of opportunities. As we know, the U.S. healthcare system is quite complex, and so we don't have one avenue for all the students. We have many opportunities, and so what we've done this last year, Ms. Bailey really, is just see where the experiences of those students are, to make sure that we can put them in a place to take advantage of that 1 year, to grow them the best that we can. This represents many of your organizations. So our future, this is a graduation, so this is from that first year that we have MBA, MHA qualified healthcare executives that are going to lead change in the U.S. healthcare system. So some of the things that we've got, just for your information, so we've, in Baylor, we're being moved under the business school, and that's a model that we've seen in other programs. So right now we're in the graduate school, but the graduate school still controls all the graduate studies for all graduate programs. But what this enables us to do is align better with the business school and the resources that the business school have, which is far exceeds what the graduate school has. Yes, sir.
What's your interaction or intersection with Scott Garner?
Okay.
And his group?
So the question was, what's my interaction with Scott Garner? So Scott Garner is the program director of the MHA or MBA with the healthcare focus at Baylor University, and Scott is also an Army-Baylor graduate. It's a close relationship. So Scott will be here tomorrow serving as one of the preceptors. We do our, I'm sorry, as one of the oral board. So we work hand in glove with Baylor University, sharing quite a bit of lessons learned.
We're with about 15, 16 years.
And so that's one of the great things about academia is it's, you know, I find it to be very collegial as we've kind of worked together to best attack, you know, problems that or challenges that we have in the healthcare system. The leads-based competency model. So right now we do, and Dr. Towers will talk to this a little bit. We've got a joint executive medical skills, which is transitioning to leads. This is important because as the military services, the medical services transition to the DHA, so this is a competency model that all those stakeholders have. So we ensure that even though we might not know what the DHA is actually going to look like, all our students met the competencies that have been outlined by the leaders of all the services and of the DHA. So I'm confident that our graduates will be ready to meet the challenges of the DHA, for whatever they may look like in the future. Yes, ma'am.
You've given us the new residency manual.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there information here about the lead? Oh, sorry. Is it on?
Yep, you're good.
Is there any information in here about that leads-based competency model? And similar to the JMSC, have you mapped?
It's the same model as a new name.
Oh, it's just
Yeah.
a new name.
It's just a
Okay,
new name,
thank you.
honestly. We added one competency, which is high reliability organization, but competencies are the same, so it went from 35 to 36, so really it's just a new name.
Okay. And collaboration partnerships we've kind of spoke to and the research. I did want to highlight our unique environment. So we have the MHA program that's been around for quite a bit. I just wanted to highlight with leaders from all the services, and I think we're also directors in 12 VA sites right now. And we're a CAMI accredited program, which is the accrediting body for MHAs. We also have an MBA component, which we fall under Army-Baylor, and that's where Baylor University, and that's where that aligns. And they're an AACSB accredited program, which is the accrediting body for the MBAs. We also sit with the Army Medical Department Center and School Health Readiness Center of Excellence. So in many of the documents that you see, if it says AMED Center and School HRCOE, that's what HRCOE means if you spell it out, where we have a 2-star Major General Sergeant who's in charge, and we also have a military chain of command and an academic chain of command, and so do the students, so it's unique. And the graduate school, so we have, it's not just the MHA program where we are, we also have a nurse anesthetist program, the PA program, dietetics program, so we also have some other programs that we work with at the AMED Center and School. We have our academic partner, which is Baylor University. I think most of you are fairly familiar, but it's about 2 hours up the road in Waco, or halfway between San Antonio and Dallas. Our focus is also is aligned with the military as far as readiness, and so health plays a vital part to that. Accreditation and transition. So we have 4 accrediting bodies, which is something that's unique to why we're there. Baylor, Army, and then each of our programmatic accreditations. So quite a bit. Faculty transitions, we still do quite a bit of movement. So that's something that's we're always keeping in charge of. And then the role of the executive as we're transitioning to the DHA, to see what that looks like. And that concludes that portion. If anyone's got any questions, I'll pause a little bit for any of the questions about the program or something that you'd want me to highlight. Yes, ma'am?
Me again, sorry. Is this actually on? Okay, got it. Can you talk a little bit about the development of the research center on health services research?
Okay, so the question was the development of the research center for the Center of Research. So with that, I'll get on this side. So with the graduate school, we're trying to bring a couple things. The graduate school and the business school, we're bringing in all the resources to get some research and work on trying to get grants so we can inform really the MHS with the latest on health. We do a lot of things, but I think informing our environment as far as with the research and getting that published, I think will help our system. Well, thank you very much. And again, get me at any time during any break. And of course, you've got my card in each of those folders. So feel free to shoot me an email at any time. And thank you again for your participation today.